let's move in to the topic of the week, which is making time for your goals. The question that sparked this live is somebody asked me, how do I know if I'm making enough time for my goals? And so if you thought that this video was going to be a live full of time management tips, I am sorry, because that is not what it's going to be. I have lots of videos that I have done before about time management. I have lots of videos with time management tips, this, that, and the other, and I will leave the playlist linked in the description. If that is what you want, I have those for you. But today in this live, I want to talk about our mindsets around time and how that relates to our goals. We're going to start with a little bit of a hard truth that may be tough to hear, but I need it too. And that is that you will never have all the time that you want for your goals. There is just not enough hours in the day. You will never feel like you have all the time that you want. For most of us, you have more goals and things you got to get to than you do time. And we have to not necessarily like, I'm not saying this to be like, you have to just accept it. Like, yes, but it's almost just like one of those things that's out of your control, right? It is out of your control to have all the time that you want. You're going to have to make decisions. But what you do have is some time. Even if it's 5 minutes, you have some time. One of the things, I try really hard not to talk in extremes, like always, never, all, nothing, because most of the time that's not the case. It is rare that it is all or nothing scenarios. So when somebody comes to me and they say, I have no time to work on my goals, I want to say to them, maybe you have a lot going on right now and it feels like you have zero time. But my guess is that you have at least some time. Even if it is 5 minutes a day, you have some time. And that's enough. That's enough. That is enough time. Like I already told you, it's not all the time you want, but it's enough. It's enough time for what you have right now to work on. So a few reminders as it pertains to time and goals. The time that you have for your goals is always going to be in flux. It's going to constantly change. It's going to change throughout your week. There's going to be days of the week that you have more time for your goals than others. There's going to be times throughout the month that you're going to have more times for goals than others. Throughout the year, we have talked about this at length, and I feel like I'm going to continue repeating it until I listen to myself. No goals in December, Laken. You do not need goals in December. Between Vlogmas, the holidays, and preparing for the new year, there's no time for goals in December. But in some months, I have plenty of time for goals. And most importantly, the time that you have is going to change over the course of your life. There has only been one person in the history of all the people I worked with one-on-one who told me time was not a constraint. Now, the truth is, it still is for all of us, some sort of a constraint. But for this particular goal that she was working on, it was not a constraint for that particular goal. And that was the season of life that she was in. We are all going to have different phases of life where we have more or less time to work on our goals. And what that means is that you cannot compare. You definitely cannot compare to other people. And I feel like I say this a lot, and you're probably sick of me telling you this, is like, please stop comparing yourself to other people, because you have no idea what they have going on behind the scenes, how much help they have, etc. But what I wanted to say here is that you cannot compare how much time you have for your goals to a prior version of you. Even if it's not blatantly obvious, even if you're like, but Laken, I'm like in the same kind of general phase of my life. Like, I'm in the same relationship. I have the same job. I live in the same place. Like, it would seem like I could have the same amount of time. Sure. At the surface level, it could, but you're not the same person. What's going on outside the world is not the same. How much your friends or family may need you or not need you, not the same. There are so many other factors besides those kind of big hitters that impact the time you have to work on your goals. And so if you are constantly comparing yourself to a prior version of you that had this much time to work on my goals, that's not fair. That is not fair to you, current you. So current you needs to accept, okay, right now, this is the amount of time that I have to work on my goals. And that might mean you have to make some hard decisions. That might mean that you have to cut some things. You have to decrease some goals or cut some goals. But that is how much time you have to work on your goals. I'm going to check the comments before I keep talking. Ooh, I try to build a buffer and transition time between activities. Absolutely. That definitely can impact it. I hope it helps you with your all or nothing mindset, Sharon. I also have a video on all or nothing mindset because all or nothing is just not helpful for most of us. I'm not going to say all of us because there is no such thing as all or nothing. The extremes are so few and far between. I was having a conversation with a friend recently about something totally unrelated to this topic, but the sentiment came out is that very few things in life are black and white. Very few things are like the opposite ends. You have this option or this option. Most things are 50 shades of gray. They are somewhere in the spectrum, and goals are absolutely one of those things. I have never even allowed myself to have a stretch of time where I don't have any goals. Now, don't get me wrong, Brittany. When I say no goals in December, I don't necessarily mean that I'm not going to be doing things, right? I am likely still going to be, I'm definitely going to be doing work stuff because December is always, there'll be goal workshops, there'll be new goal planner. Like there will be a lot of stuff in December for work. I will be doing Vlogmas, which in and of itself is a goal. I may know like additional extra personal goals because there just isn't time. And that I would rather spend that time enjoying the holidays with my friends and family than being like, oh, I need to do this because I put that down as a goal. However, if you, Brittany, or you, anybody wants a stretch of time where you have no goals, please go for it. Take a break. Comparison is the thief of joy. Absolutely. I mean, I feel that I see that sentiment a lot. But I also think it's the thief of a lot of things. It's not just joy. I think it is the thief of progress. I think it can be the thief of confidence. I think it can be the thief of like just anything that impacts your mental health. I get asked a lot, I feel like, about like, how do you build up confidence? Like, how do you become confident? And I think one of the things that really does drive this is to stop comparing to whether it is to other people, whether it is to prior versions of myself. That is not benefiting me. Most of the time, comparison is not benefiting me. And so I'm not going to do something that isn't providing me any value. I have to just look at myself and be like, what do I need? What do I need right now? What do I want? What do I want? And that's it. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Okay. The next reminder. You might be sick of me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Small progress is still progress. A lot of times when people say, I don't have time to work on my goals, what they're really telling me is I don't have time to work on the goal, the amount of time I want to work on my goals. Let me say, I said that better when I was this morning. They're not saying I don't have time to work on my goals. They're saying I don't have time to make the amount of progress I want to make, right? Let's use like working out as an example. People come to me a lot, or even actually, you know what, even better example. Somebody in the community last night asked me in the chat about adding 30 minutes of reading to their morning routine. And maybe they can find 30 minutes a day in their morning routine to read. And if they can, awesome. But if you can't, a lot of us would say, like wherever she got that 30 minutes from, a lot of us would say, well, if I can't find 30 minutes, I'm just going to do 0. Right. And we would then the statement that we say is, I don't have time to read in the morning. Okay. Do you not have time to read in the morning? Or do you not have time to read 30 minutes in the morning, which for whatever reason, your brain has decided is the goal in your head? Do you have time to read 5 minutes in the morning? 10 minutes? 1 page, 1 chapter? Maybe not. Maybe you still don't have that time. Maybe you are a teacher who has to drive super far to your school and you've got to be there at 6:30 a.m. And so in order to squeeze in 5 minutes of reading, you'd have to get up at 3:45 and you're like, that's not happening. Yes, maybe you don't have time. But ask yourself anytime you find yourself saying the sentence, I don't have time for X, do you not have any time or do you not have the time of the amount of progress that you want to be making? And so then do you need to remind yourself of this sentiment right here, which is that small progress is still progress and something is better than nothing. 5 minutes is better than zero. One page is better than nothing. 5 minutes of some push-ups and some squats is better than zero. I am guilty of this all the time, especially now that I have a little one. I am like, I don't have time. I will, by the way, every time, sorry, I feel like I'm like yelling. Every time I say things, by the way, I am not sitting here telling you I'm perfect at these. These are not necessarily things that I'm like, I figured this out. I am so good at this. Like, no, not even, no. I sometimes have to remind myself of these things as well. And this is one of them because I am ultimately comparing myself to a prior version of me who did have time to read 30 minutes in the morning. And now it's not necessarily that I don't have time. It's that I don't have time to read 30 minutes in the morning and work out and do this and all the things I would like to do. I have to get picky and I have to decide what is important to me. And so if reading is still something that's important to me, I'm going to have to decrease it and remind myself that small progress is still progress. Going back to my book updates, I had 10 nonfiction books on my list this year, 5 personal and 5 business. And I was open to listening to some of them on audio, but I have since learned that I don't digest as well audio nonfiction books. I need to actually be reading the physical book. But 10 seemed reasonable to me. But when I'm going to say only in front of this, again, it's not only. Let's just not say only. When I'm reading 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, maybe 3 days a week, I am not going to get through 10 books over the course of the year. That's just not, that math is not going to math. So that I'm probably not going to hit that goal. And that's okay. It is different. That is still progress. I'm still making some progress by making it more than zero. Couple comments. It has also really helped me to schedule time for goals in my planner, even if I'm not sure if that time will work. It's okay to have it in the calendar and need to move it. Absolutely, Jennifer. Absolutely. If you go back, I did a video maybe a year ago. I don't totally remember. That was about my goal mistakes. This was one of them for sure. Yes. I don't have enough time to make the progress that I want. And the tough love person in me is going to go back to this. You're never likely going to have all of it. You're just not. It's so funny because my mom is retired now. And even before Lila was born, she had this she was like, where is my time going? Like, I thought that by not working, I was going to feel like I had all this time and I was going to be bored and I was going to have to volunteer to fill in she was ready to sign up to volunteer at the zoo. She was very where's all this time going to go? And since retiring, it has filled its way back up without her even trying. Even when you feel like the thing that takes up the most of your time is gone, you are still never going to have the amount of time you want to have. I have a good example. My son has a class every Wednesday at 1 p.m. and you have to sit in the waiting area. I've scheduled Lattes with Laken during that hour to help build momentum. I love that, Sharon. Oh my, well, that's just perfect timing. That's the absolute perfect timing. I love it. Okay, the last reminder. You do not necessarily need to finish your goals to make you happier. I get asked, not often, but whenever I get asked why I talk about goals. And the dig deep down reason is that I believe that goals are how you make yourself happier. And if we are all a little bit happier, the world is going to be a better place. The end. That's why I talk about goals. However, you do not need to finish whatever that means for you and your goal to be happier. That it goes back to our spectrum thing, right? Here's where you're at now. And you're probably not at the very end of the spectrum. You're somewhere a little bit in. Here's where you want to be or where you think you want to be. And that's fine. Maybe it is ultimately where you want to be. You are not going to go from where you're at now and then immediately when you hit this, now you're happier. Boom, happier. That's not how it works. Every little inch you make towards that finish line, you're getting a little bit happier. You're getting a little bit more energy. You're getting a little bit more, you're getting that light in your face. Whatever goal it is that you're working on, those little bits make you a little bit happier. Let's go back to the dance class. Right, this end finish line would be like what I had in New York, right? I am dancing consistently every week with people I know and love and then performing on a stage with them. That would be awesome. That would be really awesome. Guess what? That likely is not feasible in Chicago, just given the options here and given the fact that I have a tiny little human now. Okay. So should I, and then this extreme right is I don't dance. That probably is rare because I dance at home, like around the house. Okay. So I'm a little bit in me dancing at home. Taking that class got me a little bit closer to this ultimate dream. Did taking that class make me happier? 1,000,000%. It made me happier. Not 1,000,000% happier. Like it for sure made me happier, a happier person. You could see me like getting emotional about it. Every class I take is going to get me a little bit happier. I don't need to get to the finish line to have that goal make me happier. You don't need to read 100 books a year to make you happier. But if you read a little bit more and you finish some more books, you're probably going to be a little bit happier. Insert whatever it is for you. You do not need to get to the other end to be happier. Insert whatever adjective you want here also for you to be healthier, for you to be less tired, for you to be any positive, whatever your outcome you're trying to get from that goal. I ultimately think they all stem from happiness, but like there are other things associated with it too. And every little step you take gets you just that much closer to it. And you don't have to get to the finish line to feel that. Yes, the joy can be in the journey. I love that. Absolutely. All right. That was a lot. And I know that this is less about the tips, right? Again, I have videos on tips if that's really, really, really what you need. A lot of it stems from mindset and reminding ourselves that even 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there is going to be beneficial.